Hey guys, it's Proc, and earlier I got a pretty great country streak PR with no moving on a diverse world on my stream, so I wanted to share that with you guys and maybe give a little bit more insight to the guesses, because I know I was always looking for this kind of thing when I was learning country streaks, which is kind of my favorite way to play. So it's pretty long, so let's just get right into it. So starting off here, pretty obvious Japan, it's the low cam, and on that pole there was the straight up and down lines. Next here, I'm just looking around and seeing if I can see any signs, but I ended up seeing the yellow backplates and the left-hand drive. Here we have the Guatemala Google car. Pretty simple on that one. Here we have the white concrete bases on each base of that signpost, and that's just a very Peruvian thing. And then on this round, we have some text that says Cornish farm, so I go Cornwall, or at least what I thought was Cornwall. I'm still not sure, but it must have just been a weird name because it was over there. Sometimes the plugin that I'm using for the country streaks has bad polygons around coasts. Anyway, this next one is Turkey. It has a divided highway. It has the electricity poles that are made up of 4 smaller poles, if that makes sense. And it also has the Turkey Bollards there. Okay, so on this one, we just have a black car and a very flat environment. My first thought was Argentina, but the poles don't really fit for Argentina. Usually Argentina has a bar across the top with 3 little nodes that the wires go in. So I'm not really sure. It's obviously not Peru here, so I am thinking maybe it's Uruguay, and that is what I eventually go, especially with those little planted forests. You see those in Brazil and Argentina too, of course, but with the black car and the poles, I ended up going there. Here we just have some Polish bollards, white lines in the middle. Okay, this one we have some signs over there that are showing us South African cities, and also we had the Gen 2 coverage there. Here we have the yellow warning sign, which you sometimes get in Korea, along with the Korean script. That's the first 10 down. Okay, so this one, a little bit more difficult here. I don't think I was too sure what I was going to do here until I saw this holy pole. I was considering, of course, Poland, Romania, Hungary, but the Polish ones are usually not that thick, and the Romanian ones are usually painted white on the bottom. So I think I eventually decided to go Hungary here, and it is correct. Okay, so this one we have Italian plates, pretty simple. Okay, this one was a little bit difficult. It's the classic Canada or USA toss-up. I'm looking around trying to see anything, maybe recognize some plates. Unfortunately, it is a regular stop sign, and as you can see, I just zoomed in. Not sure if you could make it out, but that did say Winnipeg. I did not know that it said Winnipeg, though. I did not catch that. After the round, someone in the chat said that it was indeed Winnipeg, so luckily I do end up going Canada here, but not for any good reason. I just randomly guessed and it happened to be right. Just had kind of a more Canada feel there. So we always love the free rounds here with the Kenya car. Okay, next we have more NA. This one just feels very US. It kind of feels like more southern, maybe, or East Coast. We have those signs over there. They might also be in Canada. Turns out it was not East Coast, but it was still USA. Still got that much right. Okay, so this one looks like one of those Gen 2 extremely far north kind of research base places up in Canada. So I just throw it up somewhere up there, and it is. It's just another one way up there. Here we have another Kenya snorkel. This time it's a really weird dry round, but it's still Kenya nonetheless. Okay, here we have Australian bollards, and we do have the green poles. I didn't see any of those possum guards on it, but it was pretty clearly Tasmania, I thought, just based on the environment. I guess I probably could have 5K'd that. I think that's what I'm saying there. Here we have the yellow backplates and the double yellow lines, meaning no parking on the edges of the road. Okay, this one is a bit more difficult, but we are driving on the right-hand side, and we have some script over here. And I think I kind of debate for a while, but I do eventually go Cambodia here. Okay, so that's 20 down. Next, we have a Polish crossing sign where there's no stripes on the crosswalk on the sign. Okay, now we have some Spanish language, and it's looking like it's going to be Mexico with these short plates and this kind of pine. Okay, on to the next one. It looks like we're going to be in New Zealand this time. We have those white signposts, left-hand drive, English language. Here we just have a Gen 2 South Africa. It's just kind of a feel thing there. Next we have a Thailand. We have Thai language on that sign, and just the left-hand drive with the white and black signposts and yellow lines is really distinct after a while. Here we have what look to be Mexican poles. We also have those thatched roofs, usually found in the Yucatan Peninsula. Okay, here we have more Mexican poles. I think I'm a bit like weirded out by the potential back-to-back, so I'm not too sure, but eventually I do go Mexico. Okay, so this round we have some German language in Gen 4, and we have Austrian Bollards as well, so not really anything else that one could be. Here we have a Czech Slovak Bollard. So right now it's kind of a toss-up. We do have the Gen 4. Luckily we find a sign that has an arrow on the side of it, and that is a Czech sign. The Slovakian signs are just square all the way around. Okay, here we have a left-hand drive. Looks like Indonesia, just based on the quality of all the infrastructure, the houses, the road, and it's dry as well. And not a lot of places are dry like this in Malaysia. Okay, so that's 30. Okay, so here's a little bit of a harder one. This one I think I debate on for a really long time. I thought Montenegro at first, so I look up for rifts, but there's no rifts. The mountains in the back do look like those Montenegro mountains, but they do also look kind of like the Pyrenees mountains at a certain point and the Alps, like in southeastern France. So I'm not really sure where exactly to go here because it doesn't feel like either of those countries. We do have a blue strip on the plate and no text, and we also do have an antenna. So a couple options. I don't think it could be... Really nothing makes sense here besides Montenegro, especially with that weird like house and rock wall, but and the road with no lines on it. But I'm not really too confident in it, so I'm trying to like find any clues that I can. I don't really find anything, but I eventually do go Montenegro, and it's correct. Okay, so it was Montenegro. Here we have a little bit of an easier round with Australian bollards and the classic all-white road lines. I go Western Australia here. Turns out to be a really good guess. It just had that Western Australian dirt and like dryness level. I'm not great at Australia, but sometimes I make a random good guess like that. Here we just have another Kenya car. Love to see those free rounds in country streaks. Here we have a Danish flag and a Danish sign with Danish language on it. Pretty easy Denmark there. Okay, this one is a little bit more difficult. Pretty much the only text we have is that Pizzeria Venezia, which is Italian, but this doesn't really look like Italy, maybe way up north because it looks like Alpine architecture on these houses. We have Zone, which is not Italian, so I'm thinking it's not Italian. We don't have Italian plates. I can't really tell if there's blue strips. I think there are. This house is exceedingly Alpine in architecture, so I'm thinking maybe Slovenia or Austria here. And so I zoom in, look around for more clues. I see these weird green signs. I'm not too sure if one of these countries has green signs, but I eventually do go Austria because I know that Slovenia, which was my other front runner, has yellow signs. Okay, so next round we just have a what looks like classic East Coast USA. Again, it's not that East Coast, but I'm from the West Coast, so everything east of like me feels like West Coast. Here we just have a Argentina black car, that kind of vast expanse of land that can't be Uruguay. Okay, this one we have poles which look like the Portuguese poles. They can have we can have similar poles in other countries like Spain and France, but it didn't really feel like either of those. So I end up going Portugal. You can notice that these are very similar to the Brazilian poles, thanks to the Portuguese colonial influence. And it is Portugal. Next up, we have a kind of a weird round. We have Spanish language, and we have some interesting Bollards. I think eventually I'll turn around here and see a sign which makes it just be Peru. Yeah, we have this really green landscape, but yeah, eventually I do see a concrete base, and I think there's even a black and white post behind us. But yeah, that's just going to be Peru. Okay, here we have double yellows. We have an Ozark Co. So something in the Ozarks down in Arkansas and Missouri. I go Ozark, but it unfortunately is up in Missouri. I thought I'd be a little bit cheeky there. Okay, here we have a turkey round, white road lines. It looks like that crazy green stuff. It's Eastern. But yeah, we had the right chevrons and bollards for turkey there. Okay, here we have a looks to be a Brazil. A little bit of a weird one. We do have black backs of sign over there on the left. A little bit weird to see on the divided highway. There's no yellow lines that you might be used to seeing in Brazil. Just trying to verify here 100%. And it looks right, so I go Brazil. Okay, so this one's a little bit hard. It looks like one of those Mediterranean rounds where it's kind of a toss-up between Italy, Spain, Greece. Luckily, we had that Coto de Casa or, sign that they have sometimes where it's saying that it's a private road. Okay, here we have a white car in Southeast Asia. Looking around, it looks like Indonesia to me, but the car seems to have a license plate with just two groups of text on it, so it kind of has to be Malaysia. And there's another one too to kind of confirm it. Okay, and it was just Sarawak there. Pretty proud of that guess. Pretty good guess there. Okay, here we just have a pretty easy France. I saw that name of that city and I decided to go looking for it, and I do not end up finding it. So I'll just speed this up. Okay, so it was kind of up in that Calais area, but it was like a really small town, so I was never going to find it. Okay, so this one, this is a bit more difficult. My initial thought was something like Denmark with these hedges and this architecture, but the signs are not quite right for the street signs. So I think I end up spending a really long time debating, but because the plates are not yellow, another thing I was considering was maybe Luxembourg, because Luxembourg and Germany both have this overexposed looking Gen 2. And then I debate a lot longer, but I eventually realized that with the no yellow plates, the street signs which aren't Danish, and the overexposed Gen 2, it must just be Germany, even though I feel like this is a little bit of a weird round for Germany, especially with no blurs. Okay, it was eventually just Germany. Okay, so this one looks like another NA toss up. The signs are bleached out by the sun, kind of. Not really much to go off of here. I get a little bit more America vibes, a lot of corn. I eventually go America. And it was America. Okay, here we have a classic South Africa. We got those triple white road lines, the yellow outer lines, and the R road numbers. It was quite far away, but still the same country. Okay, here we have a Spanish language. And we have the Latin American antenna. We have the black on yellow chevrons with a solid yellow middle line, and we also have the Ecuadorian sign, and eventually I also realized there's an Ecuadorian bollard. Here we just have a French bollard. And we get a Ghana. Love to see those easy rounds. Just passing 50 in a row here. Okay, here we have the yellow backs. We got a .uk domain name. Okay, here we have a interesting round. We have a yellow plate, and then I think we have another yellow plate over there. So it's just going to be Colombia. It felt a little bit weird, so I decided to make extra sure, but eventually I do go Colombia. Okay, next we have a interesting round. We can't really see anything with that crossing sign, but we do have Cyrillic over here. Some more Cyrillic over here. No rifts in the sky. I thought maybe it could be one of those countries. Eventually, I will turn around and check that there was no antenna, which means we are in North Macedonia or Serbia. We do have Serbian bollards over there, and we also have a guardrail, which is the Serbian guardrail. It's like flat. If you look up the two guardrail types in Europe, there's going to be some information about it. But North Macedonia has the more curved guardrail, whereas Serbia has like really flat guardrail. Okay, so here we have some Thai-looking poles. Pretty distinct square poles with lots of holes in them, with some wire attachments at the top. Okay, here we have a kind of a weird thing because the car got a little bit glitched out, but it's just a Kyrgyzstan. And then we have the mirror meta. Not too important for getting the country, but it is the Osh mirror. So I decided to just get some extra points. Get 1,000 yards away. Okay, here's kind of a UK-Ireland 50-50. I'm not really sure because I do see a lot of white houses, which is usually a good indicator that you're in Ireland. But I also see several other houses that look a lot more UK. We do have those yellow stickers on the wooden poles and those white signs, which make me lean a little bit more UK, but I wasn't sure if they also have those in Ireland. So essentially, just another time where I spend a bit of time debating and eventually make the right decision. Okay, so it was just UK. Next one here. We have a yellow sign and no rifts and a blue strip, and I think we do have an antenna here. And can't really see what's going on that walking sign, but I think this is just going to be Slovenia. Croatia and Serbia also have the yellow signs, but Croatia wouldn't have a blue strip and Serbia wouldn't have an antenna. Okay, and it was Slovenia. Next round here, we're kind of up in the mountains. We do have the Latin American antenna, and with mountains like these, I tend to just think it's probably Colombia, but there's not really many clues, so I'm doing my best to like look around and see if there's anything. I don't find anything, but I eventually just go Colombia anyway. I don't think you'd really find mountains like this anywhere else. Maybe some other weird routes, but I just go with what seems most likely here, and it's right. Okay, so here we have yellow outer lines and a Gen 4 camera, which can only be South Africa. Okay, so we're got over 60 now. So we have a TIE Finland. Okay, so here we have the Northern Tunisia follow car. This is kind of a weird round because you can't see water. I don't know what exactly weirded me out about this so much. I didn't know what city this could be, but I eventually just throw it up in Bizerte, and it's right. Or Bizerte. Okay, so here we have some English language in the road sign. We also had the small antenna on the back right of the car, as you can see there. Because it's English language, I'm going to go Northern Mariana Islands. There also wasn't the Guam roof rack visible. If it had been Spanish, I would go Puerto Rico. Okay, so here we have another Europe round. We have red reflectors in the guardrail. We have yellow on black chevrons, and that's unique to Portugal and Ireland, I think, actually, also, but this clearly is not Ireland. We have a lot of white houses with the red terracotta roofs. Okay, so next we have a Australia with those white road lines, ton of eucalyptus trees, just pretty classic Australia. Wrong state there, but can't complain. Okay, so here we have a nice little sign with a lot of information. It's Romanian language, and it even says, you can't really read it there, but it does say Romania there. And then there's also a Romanian bollard behind me. And Gen 4 camera with the antenna, which you can find in many countries, but Romania is one of them. Okay, so next we have a Brazilian pole. This is like a weird round. Like I almost guessed Nigeria here. But yeah, after like thinking a little bit more, I realized that this was not, in fact, Nigeria. Brazil. Okay, so it was Brazil, outside the country. Okay, here we have like Scandinavian snow poles, and we have the double yellow road lines, which is Finland. Okay, so here we have a Lithuanian pole. I'm not entirely sure here. We do have Gen 4 with the antenna. That's another good place to look for Gen 4 antenna, which the Baltics. And we just have a nice, easy Norway with those outer long dashes. Here we have some Thai script. Next, we have a Korea. We have those Korean road signs, the Korean electricity pole wrap, and the black car right-hand drive. Okay, so here we have more holy poles. It does look a little wintry. Usually in Poland, the holes in the pole don't go all the way to the bottom. It is common for them to have A-frame poles, but Hungary can also have A-frame poles. So I do eventually go Hungary here. Romania, like I said earlier, usually paints the bottom of theirs white. Okay, and we just have some New Zealand bollards and the double yellow road lines. And for 75, we just have a Japan with the low cam and the left-hand drive and the Japanese script. Okay, here we have more double yellow road lines, and we have some Spanish. I originally thought this was just Brazil, and we have the colors of the Ecuador and Colombia flag there, so I'm not sure which one it is. That's what I spend the rest of this round trying to figure out. A lot of similarities between those two countries. I'm not really sure which one it is, but I don't see white posts. And I also don't see the Colombian cross on the back of those signs. So I eventually go Ecuador. Okay, next we have a what looks to be Australia or New Zealand. I immediately thought it was like Western Australia with the yellow poles, but it like looked a little bit too like green, so I like wasn't quite sure. Sometimes on these urban rounds, I get confused with New Zealand and Australia. In retrospect, there were just double yellow road lines in the middle, which are exclusive to New Zealand. So I should have just guessed that, but eventually I look around long enough that I find a .nz area code. Okay, so next round here, we have, this one is actually in Australia. We have those poles that are unique to South Australia with like the concrete in the middle and the metal on the others, and the metal on both sides. So I'm just trying to find a good place here. Probably could have gotten that, but it's just a country streak, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, this one was a little bit weird. I immediately thought Lesotho, but then I was like, wait, what if this is like South America? Because there are some weird Perus and Bolivias that look kind of like Lesotho and that I've kind of mismatched a couple times doing country streaks. So I ended up looking for a lot longer and not really seeing anything that definitively says it's one or the other. I eventually go based on the fact that we seem to be driving on the left here. But yeah, other than that, didn't really glean too much from the landscape or the poles or anything. Mostly guessed on the left-hand drive and the stuff that looked like Lesotho. Okay, so it is eventually Lesotho. Here we have something that looks just kind of like America somewhere down in the southwest, dry. A lot of cholla cactus, and it is just Arizona. And that is 80 in a row. Here we have Japan, low cam and Japanese script. And here we have a kilometer marker, so we can fairly confidently go Canada here. You'd love to see those things. And here we have a Mongolia. I have kind of been grinding my Mongolian metas. So looking around a little bit based on like kind of the car and the landscape, I actually do manage to get the city right, which is pretty cool. And I almost 5K it just kind of clicking from really far out, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy about that, as you can see. Okay, so here we have Cambodian poles and we're driving on the right and we have the white car. So otherwise I might have gone Thailand here. But because of the right-hand drive, that really reduces the number of countries this could be. I think I'm talking about Mongolia metas there. Okay, so this one, little difficult, not much to go off of. No road lines, no plates really, no signs, no poles, no text. So I think that it is Brazil, and that sign in the distance, that red sign, kind of reminds me of a Brazilian sign. The landscape like kind of fits, so yeah, I eventually just go Brazil, and it's correct. Okay, so next round we have some Australian Bollards. Um, yeah, not really gonna waste too much time on this round. I'm not entirely sure where it could be. It is Tasmania after all. I love the Gen 2 Tasmania. Okay, here we have some what appears to be Spanish language, and as I turn around, it becomes clear that it is just Europe. Looking for a pedestrian crossing, can't really see that one. I'm just kind of like wary of losing my streak at this point, so I just want to be extra sure. Um, Looking around, I don't really see anything, but I mean, it wasn't Portuguese, there weren't Portuguese plates, so really the only place it can be is Spain. This one is a little bit harder. Another streak ending type of round. Looks like Malaysia or Indonesia, but not entirely clear which one. We don't have the double white road lines that might tell us that it's Malaysia. We also don't have black stickers that might tell us it's Malaysia. We do have a white painted thing on that pole, but I've got baited many times by things like that in Indonesia, so I'm not quite sure. I do look around a bit more, and with the oil palms and the architecture that seems to be a little more wealthy, I do end up going Malaysia, and it is correct. Okay, so this next one, we have a black car. I'm just trying to figure out if it's Argentina or Uruguay, and I see the Argentinian pole. And it's a pretty crazy random plonk. Okay, next we have the Nigerian follow car, so just an easy Nigeria. We'll take that, and we're at 90. Okay, and the next one is just an easy Bangladesh before the unfortunate fall and the last round here. I thought this might be a weird Botswana because of the dirt color, the fact that it's a dirt road. And yeah, I don't know. It just kind of felt like Botswana to me. This yellow and black chevron thing didn't feel super South African. Usually, most rounds between the two are more obvious, so I haven't spent much time trying to differentiate the two. Maybe if I knew more about those polls, I would have gone South Africa. But yeah, that's a little unfortunate. But hey, I can't complain about 91. It would have been awesome to get 100, but that's just another goal for the future. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy this type of video, let me know. I think I'm also going to do another country streak video where I show fewer countries, but maybe it's live commentary and I can go more in depth. Because this one, obviously, like, if I could see it just based on vibes or some small clue, I would just do it and send the country. But that's not super great for learning if you don't already know all the clues, obviously. So I'm more than happy to do a video like that. But either way, leave a like if you did enjoy. Feel free to subscribe for more Geoguessr content, and I will see you guys later. Bye.